Good morning, so I'm Shaun Pegler, Client Director at Randall Payne. I'm here today with Fran, the founder of the Beeswax Wrap Company. Circle to Success are having a leadership month this month and also carrying out a lot of work on sustainable companies. So I'm here today to talk to Fran about your sustainability journey, what you've done, what it's meant for you, and just to get some insight, please.
Yeah, well, it's been a journey. It's definitely been a journey. So I started the business back in 2017, and we hand make beeswax wraps that are the plastic-free, reusable alternative to cling film. So our mission is very much about reducing everyone's reliance on single-use plastics. And from the start, I always knew, I never wanted to start a business. It was never in my plan, but it just sort of, a kitchen table craft that sort of then took off.
Here we are.
Yeah, exactly. I know, here we are. But I always knew I started to get the inkling that maybe this was going to build into something, that if I'm making a sustainable product, then I want my business to be as sustainable, transparent as it possibly can be. So people know that when they're buying from us, they're buying from a really honest, trustworthy company who are trying to do their best in their, everything that we do, from supply chain, manufacturing to how we send it out. I want to make sure that we're doing our utmost to reduce our impact on the environment. So I know that you guys are going through your process at the moment of your sustainability journey. Is that with ISO?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. So we decided to go with B Corp back in, I think we became B Corp certified in 2019. And that was kind of our first step of kind of official accreditation for any sustainability work that we were doing. And it was really great because up to that point, the business had grown really rapidly.
Yep.
And we'd made, just from gut instincts, tried to make the right choices about the sustainable steps that we were going to make. And when we went through the process of applying for B Corp, it was really good because it was the first time that we'd seen, in black and white, all together, everything that we'd achieved to that point. And it was really lovely because as a team, we were able to sit down and just take a moment to appreciate all the hard work and the positive choices that we'd made to get where we were, at that point. And it was wonderful. We passed first time, we got a great score. And it really opened us up to understanding what our next steps were. Yeah. I think sometimes as a business starting out on your sustainable journey, where do you start? Just think, wow, like what do I look at first? There's everything to look at, but it can be overwhelming, and then you don't take those steps because you spend a lot of time just looking at the problem and not finding nice solutions for it. So we found with B Corp, it kind of clearly laid out what we were doing really well, where the gaps were, where we could improve. So one thing for us, and a kind of a big question that came out of it, was around our carbon footprint. Obviously, being a manufacturing company, there's a lot of supply chain carbon footprint there, obviously our own carbon footprint here. So that really gave us a great focus. Okay, we know that we want to look at, first step, our own carbon footprint. So that then led us to connect with Planet Mark, who then came in, and they now every year come in and measure our carbon footprint, do a full audit of, our supply chain, the energy and things like that we use, and then give us our target for the next year. So that was really useful. And out of that then came the World Land Trust. So we carbon balance all of our packaging through the World Land Trust. So from manufacturing right to delivery to our door, we wanted to make sure that, we use a lot of packaging, a lot of sleeves that our wraps go into. And that was a really nice, almost not easy, but it was just an easy step for us to make a positive impact on something that we buy in and use for, hundreds daily. So it was sort of, I think if at the beginning of the journey, if someone said to me, okay, well, what changes are you going to make? I would have probably stared at them blankly and thought, I have no idea. But actually through it, again, with starting off with B Corp and then through our carbon footprint and understanding that, we then introduced new product lines. So for us, we then looked at our waste. Okay, well, we produce a lot of offcuts, a lot of fabric that we can't use. So what are we going to do with it? And one of those products is our fire lighters. So for any wrap that maybe's got sometimes beeswax being a natural product, it can have a lot of pollen in it and things like that, which can mark the wrap. They still work, but they just don't look as nice. So we'll then cut that down and make firelighters out of it. So these are great for barbecues, wood burners, things like that. And then it also led on to further discussions with our supply chain. So then we started talking to our printers and saying, what waste do you have from printing our fabrics? Because when you start printing in a new design, there's always a few meters that don't quite go right, or the colour's a little bit off. And they'd actually, bless them, been folding it up and storing it for us. And then from that, we then decided, okay, well, let's make some cotton bags, some reusable bags that people can take to the supermarket. So rather than putting your apples and carrots and things in a plastic bag, pop them in your reusable bag. And we just sort of sold them very openly, said, this is seconds fabric, there might be a little mark on it, there might be a misprint. And we sold out so quickly, it was really well received. So then that led to us then adding that as a permanent line to our range. So not only were we reducing our waste, but then we were actually making money out of things that were just sitting there and lying dormant. So for us, it's actually unlocked a lot of financial potential.
Yeah.
Who would have thought you could make money out of your manufacturing waste? But we have, and it's wonderful now. As a manufacturing business, our wheelie bins. Boring chat, but we have the amount of waste that a household does in a month. So we have the same size wheelie bin that a household would, and we have collections once every 2 weeks for our recycling and for our waste that we can't recycle. So for us, that's it's really sad, but I'll pull up in the morning and look at it and think, oh, this is really this is a really positive thing that we've done, and that's all been through B Corp, Planet Mark, World Land Trust. Those steps that we took has enabled us to really reduce our waste and create money that we didn't know was there. So it's been very positive.
That's brilliant to hear. I think I can really see your passion for it, and I think everything you're doing is just remarkable. It's saying you've got one wheelie bin full of rubbish I think that puts a lot of households probably to shame.
Yeah.
And I think Randall Payne, we've been trying to do a number of things over the past few years. So we've got a secure shred it company come and collect all our waste paper, although we are moving to online working papers. So we're trying to cut down the amount of paper in the business, but what we do have is recycled. We've got team members collect up crisp packets and take those off to have those recycled. We've got the different recycling tubs around the office. We're looking to lift share where we can, working from homes, helping cut down the carbon footprint. So there's a number of things we're trying to do and achieve, and I think that's something that can make an employer stand out. Recruitment at the moment is tough for everybody. I think if you can show that you're a B Corp or ISO registered, it adds a bit more weight. People want to get involved in this at the moment. So you've also got your customers, your supply chain, everybody's talking about it. And I think what you're doing is outstanding, to be honest. And not only is it working from a business point of view, just morally as well, it's a really good thing to be involved in.
Yeah, it is. And I think, like you said, it's everyone wants to get involved. You've got like your team members who are collecting up the crisp packets and taking them off to a local collection group's TerraCycle. It's not something that is divisive by department. I think when you mention this, because everyone's trying to do it personally as well, everyone in their homes is recycling and trying to buy better. So, it's a natural extension then to take it to the workplace where we spend quite a lot of our time.
Yep, so. Definitely. And am I right in thinking you're in the top 5% of the world B Corp? Is that right?
Yes, we are super proud. So last year we were named as one of the best of the world 2021 for our impact on the environment, which puts us in the top 5% of B Corps globally. And that's wonderful because here we are, we've got a solar panel workshop in the Cotswolds. We're a little business, but to know that our impact is having such a wide reach. And I think it then inspires other businesses who think, oh, well, what changes can I really make? Actually, when you start looking into it, it's incredible the little tweaks that you can make to your business that will actually save you money, will inspire your team, and will create a really nice, positive message for any customers or new employees out there to show that as a business you're part of the community, you invest in the community, you invest in the people that you work with. So I think there's no negatives to it. It's all positives.
I think you are making a difference. I think you're making a difference to everyone around you using these products.
Thank you.
So what's next for you then on the B Corp journey?
Yeah, so actually we are recertifying this year,
Okay.
and which I'm looking forward to because I think it's, again, looking back on the past couple of years and all the changes that we've implemented, and just again standing back and be able to look at it and sit with the team and have that moment of real kind of appreciation for the thought and the hard work. Because I think also a lot of changes that are made, you kind of go, oh yeah, great, let's just implement it. And then it just becomes part of your daily process. So you don't sort of celebrate maybe the person who is actioning that on a weekly basis. So I think for us, it's going to be a really nice time to sit back, reflect, see the really good progress that we've made to date, and then set ourselves some new goals. I think, where can we go from here? This is, we're performing far better than I could even hope for when I first started the business. And especially as we grow, new challenges, as we grow the product lines, maybe have new suppliers on board. It's just really helping us make sure that that real belief at the beginning of this business that, I wanted it to be one of the most sustainable businesses in the world. How can I make sure that as we grow, we stay true to that? And in 5, 10, 15 years' time, I can be standing here, hopefully still, saying, really proudly that we're doing our utmost to have the most positive impact that we possibly can.
I think to be in the top 5% of the world,
It's not bad.
yeah, it's an achievement. I'm privileged to be standing next to you talking about how you've got there. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I think again, it's one of these things, would I have been standing with my accountants 10, 15 years ago talking about, what we were doing for, our sustainable goals? Possibly not. So I think it's wonderful now that so many businesses are understanding that it's so important and it needs to become, fundamental, part of your DNA as a business. So I think for you guys as well, leading the way and just challenging what is perceived as the norm when running a business.
It's cheesy, but we're all in this together, aren't we? And we've all got to make a change.
Oh, completely. And I think and I think again, it gives you another connection with other businesses, with people. When you guys come in, we don't just talk about numbers. We're talking about other areas in the business that we want to improve. And I think the more that you discuss it with other companies and engage with other employees in the businesses, it becomes more important and it becomes more relevant, and you don't feel like a bit of a weirdo. What do you do with your waste? You don't feel like such a weirdo because everyone's talking about it and everyone understands how important it is.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Yes.